Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today I am here with a new series that I am calling Thrill Seeker, where I am going to deeply dive into a thriller novel each episode and see if we get any good, thrills or chills. Thought it might be fun to just pick thrillers and do really dedicated reading vlogs to specific thrillers. Just full spoilers, full super dive deep into them and just discuss them at length. So obviously these episodes are only for people who either aren't planning on reading the book and are still interested in what happens and my thoughts and whatnot, or people who have read the book and want to see my reaction and then also discuss in the comments down below and whatnot. If you want to read any of the books that I'm going to do, I wouldn't necessarily recommend watching this video first. I would recommend reading the book first because, like I said, it's definitely going to be full spoilers. I'm going to dive into everything. So the first book, the first selection, is going to be The Photographer by Mary Dixie Carter. This is an ARC copy. It did come out May 2021 and I just didn't get around to it. I had it on hand, I wanted to read it, and so I thought, you know what, let's just make this the first video and just get started on this concept. So The Photographer says, I'm just going to read the synopsis. As a photographer, Delta Dawn observes the seemingly perfect lives of New York City's elite, snapping photos of their children's birthday parties, transforming images of stiff hugs and tear-stained faces into visions of pure joy, and creating moments these parents long for. But when Delta is hired for Natalie Straub's 11th birthday, she finds herself wishing she wasn't behind the lens, but a part of the scene in the Straub's family, gorgeous home, and elegant life. That's when Delta puts her plan in place by babysitting for Natalie, befriending her mother Amelia, finding chances to listen to her father Fritz. Soon she's bathing in the master bathtub, drinking their expensive wine, and eyeing the beautifully finished garden apartment in their townhouse. I don't know what accent just came out right there. It seems she can never get close enough until she discovers that photos aren't all she can manipulate, and it has been blurbed as You meets Parasite. So our protagonist, I'm assuming, is going to be the one that's kind of like a sociopath, so I'm assuming that's where the You reference comes in. So it will be interesting to read from that perspective, where we already kind of know the whodunit, or seemingly know. I'm very excited to dive in, but I just thought that I would intro this since it is a new video concept. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any recommendations for really twisty, good thrillers that you would want me to read for this series. And I hope that you guys enjoy this video and this concept. So let's just get into diving deep into this guy, see how it is. So it is so incredibly dark right now, but I am now 50 pages in, right? That's why I wanted to check in. I know I already said this, but full spoilers, full discussion, going in depth, this is a full reading vlog review, everything. So this is, I know I already said this again, but it is You meets Parasite, and what I'm getting so far is that it's Parasite because I know I already talked about so much, but it is Parasite. I'm assuming they're getting the parasite part from her kind of going into and kind of trying to assert herself into these more wealthy people's lives. Amelia and Fritz and Natalie is their daughter. So Amelia and Fritz, and then Natalie is their daughter. And Delta, our main character whose POV we have, she is starting to assert herself into their lives. And I think that's where we get Parasite, because she's definitely, I don't know, it hasn't fully said, she has her own apartment and stuff, but I would say probably mid to lower class if I had to assume. And they're very wealthy. She goes to Natalie's birthday party, the daughter's birthday party, and she takes pictures, and then all of a sudden Amelia is oh, our babysitter canceled, and Delta is oh, I could do that, and she starts to slowly kind of go through their things and kind of get in with Natalie, the daughter, and just kind of slowly learn more about them. But the pictures that she took from the initial birthday party, she goes home and photoshops herself into the photos, like either where the husband was, so it looks like the mom and her are like best friends and talking, or she inserts herself into where, she inserts herself into where the mom is, I think, with a couple of the pictures of the daughter. So like she's very she doesn't really have much of a personality though, and that's where right now it's kind of losing me. I'm about to pick it up again right now. I picked it up originally and read the first 50 pages when I talked to you the first time, but now I'm about to pick it up again, and it's been a while, like maybe a week, because I have been not super interested in her POV. I have ideas already about where things are gonna go. I think, I'm just gonna say it, I guess, why not? It would be more fun, I think, I guess, because normally I don't talk about my, it's just getting darker and darker because the sun's going down, so I am so sorry, but normally I don't say my, theories, because I feel like with books, if I say my theories and I end up being right or wrong, it's kind of hard to tell, and then I feel like it kind of, ruins it for people when I say what I think is gonna happen. But the whole point of this series, I guess, is to fully dive in and ruin these books or spoil these books. So my theory is, I think she's either going to kill the husband and then try to comfort the mom and daughter and weasel her way in that way, or I think she's going to sleep with the husband and have him leave his wife and get in that way, because the whole thing that she keeps talking about is she wants to be a part of this family. So those are I think she's either going to kill the husband or sleep with him. There's no in between. She's either gonna fuck the guy or she's gonna kill the guy. There is no in between for this woman. Those are two kind of basic thriller moves, right? I feel like those are both pretty basic. The husband cheats or the husband dies, or the husband cheats and dies. Let's agree that's usually the case. But something that I think the author, Mary Dixie Carter, kind of messed up on, if this ends up being how the book ends, then I think that she definitely messed up on this, because she keeps talking, I'm only at 50 pages, and she keeps talking a ton about how the wife, Amelia, couldn't get pregnant again. They had their first daughter, and then ever since she hasn't been able to get pregnant. And she Delta, when she was going through their house, found a ton of books on miscarriage, or how to have another baby, and what you can do to have another baby, and all of this stuff. I can't stay pregnant, it's devastating, it's biological, I guess the intense need for another baby, maybe a desire to be young again. She laughed awkwardly, and the miscarriages destroyed me. She keeps talking about being pregnant 50 pages in, and they're already talking about pregnancy and stuff so much that I feel like that's gonna be it. And if that is the case, then this kind of sucks, because I hate it when, too many hints right away, way too many hints. So if that's the case, then that sucks. Those are my thoughts so far, the 50-page mark. I'm gonna get to page 100, however long that takes, and then I will check in, unless anything happens, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, hi, it's the next day, but I am reading, finally. She's babysitting the daughter again. Just like I said, she got another opportunity to babysit the daughter, and the daughter just went to bed, and now she's just going through all their shit. I think I talked about that yesterday, that she's babysitting her again. But she said, okay, I've been dreaming about the Straubs. I'm assuming that's how you say their name. You ever read something, but then you realize once you say it out loud, you don't know how to pronounce it? Straubs. Yeah, I've been dreaming about the Straubs master suite for 2 days, anticipating my opportunity for exploration. The moment I walked in, I felt a thrill. It was the intimacy of being in their bedroom, deep inside their lives, swimming in the pool of their merged identities, woven into their larger family identity. But she's wild. She's met these people twice now, and she has all these ideas in her head about them being this family unit, when really they're complete strangers. And then the other thing, this whole time, right, that this chick like, I thought that this chick was in her 20s, maybe late 20s, like my age. I thought maybe she was my age. I don't know why. I imagined her younger. She's still young, but I imagined her younger than she is. She's 35. Actually, she was 35 a year ago, so she's 36, or nearly 36. Huh. I don't know why that changes things. I don't know why that makes it worse in my mind. Like, her behavior, her actions being so wild, that has me kind of confused. No. Because remember my whole theory with, like, her being a surrogate or whatever? But, like, 35 is where they say that all of your, like, risks tend to double. So, or increase significantly. So even if they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna pick a surrogate, why would they pick her? It's like, even she would have, like, most likely some complications, statistically speaking. Why does that make it weirder? That she's like 35. Like, I feel like maybe she should, like, have her shit together. I guess that's why it's worse. Like, it's not like she's some, like, young, you know, like, really, really young woman who's, like, fantasizing about all these, like, big family, big house, like, that type of shit. It's like, she's 35. Anyways, that's my check-in. I don't know, man. Page 70, she goes into their office and finds 2 Post-its. One says surrogacy, yeah, agency, with a phone number below. One read adoption agency with a phone number below. A chill traveled across my scalp and down at my back. Amelia and Fitz could very well be moving forward on their quest to have a baby, and I wasn't privy to any of the pertinent information. I needed to understand their thought process so that I could guide them, so that I could help them. I knew it. This bitch is definitely trying to have their kid. So far, I mean, the family went on vacation. They asked her to, like, water the plants. She did some super freaky shit. She laid on their rug. They had a silk rug, and she laid there fully naked. With my body spread naked on the rug, I felt a sensation of entitlement and power. And then she walked around naked and watered their plants naked. My nudity made me feel close to the Straubs, at the very core and center of their lives. And now she's, like, going on dates with one of their friends to gain further information about them. So she's wild. Like, just wild. The writing style, I'm 71 pages in now. So only 20 pages further than I was initially, but writing style is a little bit boring to me. It's not, you know, leaving me wanting more. I'm not entirely enthralled. I don't, you know, I'm not, like, you know, considering it is a thriller, I'm not on the edge of my seat. And it's a really short thriller. This is under 300 pages. Not a lot happening. And I know with the thriller there's usually a lot of build-up and whatnot, but I don't know. I just, like, so far it's not really, like, giving what it needs to be gave. If the whole story, like, I'm saying it now, if the whole story, the whole twist, the whole story is her just becoming their surrogate, and that early on, because when did I say that? Page, like, what, like 25 or something? So if that is the whole thriller, and that's it, as like, creepy as that is, with the way the writing style is, it's just, like, that's gonna be so bland. So I'm really hoping it goes in a different direction. I'm really hoping there's other twists. I'm really hoping that maybe the whole surrogacy thing is just, like, kind of a red herring, and it's, like, you know, keeping me distracted, the reader distracted on that, while, like, something else starts going on. So we will see. But if that is, like, the whole thing, that's going to be really disappointing. I think another thing that's really bothering me is that she's a photographer, she goes around, she takes pictures of all these rich people and all this stuff. But the amount of time spent in this book so far, I'm 70 pages in, the amount of time so far spent on just the details of the architecture and design is driving me crazy. And like, I get it because the family, both the parents, are architects and like designers or something like that. Both, I think, maybe, I'm not quite sure, but the main character keeps talking like, oh, look at those sconces, and like, look at this, you know, all these like small details, and I'm like, bitch, I don't care. I don't care. And you would think like an average person, like the photographer, the main character, Delta Dawn, also wouldn't really care. She's not an architect, she's not a designer. Like, yes, as a photographer you have to pay attention to all these details, but the amount of paragraphs going on and on and on, like, it's ridiculous. And then she like walked into someone else's house and she like did the same thing, and then she walked into someone else's house and she noticed all these things, and then she like, the Straubs have a apartment downstairs of their house that they like lease out, and she just walked in there for the first time and she was like noticing all these things. And it's like the amount of detail on such minuscule things that genuinely don't add to the story is killing me. Yes, it shows she's like observant, or maybe knows what she's talking about in regards to architecture and design and all of that stuff, but like, it's too much. We could have just done with maybe the first time, just the details about their house, but she keeps doing it over and over again, and it's just like, it's too detailed. Honestly, it's too descriptive to the point where it's like, I didn't need to know that. So we'll see. That's my check-in. So I'm on my phone because my camera died again, like shockingly to nobody. I definitely need a new camera. It dies at 30% now, and it also doesn't get a full charge. So, and it dies really, really fast. Like, I charged it right before I was filming the stuff for this video. So, like, what, 10 minutes or something? I got to page 100, which is chapter 6, and nothing else really happened, honestly. She's just like gaining, like, her relationship with the family is just like progressing, and that's really it. Like, she did like a photography job for them for one of the houses they were selling, and she babysat the girl another time, and that's literally all that happened in like the last, since I updated like 30 pages ago. I'm hoping there'll be, you know, I'm hoping it's just a build-up type of situation. I'm hoping that, you know, something comes of it, something, you know, exciting, some good twist. This is a thriller, so kind of waiting for it to do that. I'm really just waiting for there to be even just one thing where I'm like, ooh, intrigue. Because so far I'm really not getting that. I'm bored. Right now it's like a 2-star, to be honest. Probably a 2-star right now. So let's see how we can change that, hopefully for the better. Okay, different day, same sweater, but different day. So I read only like a couple pages last night, and I had some notes, so I marked them down. First of all, look at how bad my handwriting was, because I was like going off. She kissed the husband. So she ends up kissing the husband, and he didn't push her away. So first of all, fuck men. But also, he's like, she says like, oh, I tried to read his expression. It could have been shock, but I'm going to try to think that it's excitement. So she's like playing this in her head. He's like probably just sitting there like, and she's like, oh, you're so excited, you're speechless. Like, I don't know about that. Also, still, he didn't push her away, so we hate him. But Then I also made a note. So pretty much she kissed him because the mom like went missing for a couple hours, because what happened was the surrogacy thing, she ended up finding a birth mother who wants to have them adopt her daughter because she feels like she can't provide for her. So she's putting her baby up for adoption, and she like happened upon somehow, I don't think it was ever discussed, she was happened upon Amelia, the mom, and so the mom like just dipped for like hours and hours, like 8 hours, and like talked to her and everything, and then came home and was just like, oh, I found our like baby mom, like I found our birth mom. And everyone's kind of like, bitch, where have you been? And she doesn't even care. Like, the daughter comes home from school or whatever, and the husband's like, Natalie didn't know that you were missing. And she goes, I wasn't. And it's like, bro, you can't just dip on your family. Like, she is so obsessed about having this kid. She's not even realizing that, like, her own family fucking is in, like, shambles right now. And that, of all people, they probably shouldn't be having a kid. The husband, Fritz, is like, hey, I don't know if we should just, like, decide this that quick. Like, I don't even know this woman. I don't know anything about the father. We don't know the living situation. We need to think about how this is going to go. Like, let's talk about this. And she's like, no, like, I want to do this, so we're going to do this. And then the daughter gets home and she instantly tells the daughter. That is like parenting 101, is like, you don't tell your kids shit unless you know for a fact it's going to happen, because that gets them all kinds of messed up. She's going a little bonks. Like, not only our main character Delta is obviously off her rocker, but the mom is like starting to be really obsessive about this baby thing, and like her family is like falling apart, and she's not even understanding. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. It's definitely interesting, a take, you know, a look into, you know, I don't know, I guess just family dynamics, you know, it's just interesting. I'm definitely like I was never a fan of the main character, but now I'm really not, you know, becoming even a fan of any of the characters. I think Natalie, the daughter, the 11-year-old, is like the only character I really like. So it's kind of making for like a shitty reading experience. You know, it's supposed to be like this novel about this woman who's kind of psychotic and gets an in with this rich family, but you know, it's almost like we were supposed to feel bad for the family, but I don't, because I don't really like them either. So I don't really even feel, you know, bad about the way that she's kind of manipulating them, because honestly, they're kind of manipulative in their own ways. So whatever. Also, Delta, the main character, brought up to the husband right after she kissed him about being their surrogate, and he seemed more excited about the prospect of that idea than he did about this whole like other birth mom thing that they don't know. He said he would feel more comfortable with it being somebody that they knew, but they don't know anyone who would do that, and she's like, I would. And then that's like right when the wife comes back, so weird timing, but we'll see where it's gonna go. Those were just two like kind of big developments. They found a birth mom, and we'll see where that goes if they end up adopting the baby. And she kissed the husband and told him like, hey, I would be a surrogate. So we'll see where this goes. Right now I'm like, I hate that I'm not enjoying this, because you know, this is like the first in this series, this like Thrill Seeker series, and you know, I just wanted this to be like a fun place where we could really dive into like thriller novels and like really discuss them at length and in depth. And I hate rating books poorly if they're not like problematic, you know, like, because then I have no problem with it. But if they're, you know, just not really good, I just always feel bad, you know, this is someone's like heart and soul, like, and it takes so much time and effort. So I just hate that like for the first like episode or what have you, you know, of this, that I'm not enjoying this. It's kind of a bummer, because it would be way more exciting if I was like really into it and like trying to make all these guesses and stuff, but I'm just like, I don't really care. I really hope it gets better. I'm like halfway now, so I would love to just like finish it today, but it's not holding my attention, if we're being honest. So I have not been updating as much with this So I read about, well, I can't remember the last time I updated, so I don't know how much I read or how much I've told you, but I know that I read a good chunk without updating because I felt like I was updating so often, which obviously is fun and I had things to say, but like it was just really repetitive. I felt like similarly to this novel. So anyways, the only thing that's happened now, I think I discussed that Amelia and Fritz found Amelia really found a mother who wants to give them their baby, and then pretty much what happens is Delta kind of manipulates the pregnant teenager and Fritz, and she just kind of manipulates everybody so that it ends up not working out. And it was completely like her doing. I think that if she hadn't interfered, they probably, would have gotten this baby and everything would have worked out. But I think I mentioned that she kissed Fritz and she told him like, hey, I would be your surrogate. And he was like, oh my God, you would? And then, but that was really all he said. Like, seems like a weird reaction, but that was really his reaction. And then after Amelia is like a mess because the mother backs out of the adoption process, then Delta tells her, hey, I would be your surrogate. And she's like, don't play with me. And she kind of like, Amelia goes down after the mom like backs out. She goes down this like really bad like path. And she's just like really depressed and really mean, honestly, to like Natalie, her daughter, and Fritz, her husband. And she's just kind of like distant from everybody and mean to everybody and stuff like that. But then Delta's like, oh, I would carry your baby. She instantly starts bawling and everything. Even, Fritz is like, sure, that sounds fine. Natalie, the daughter, is the only one who's like, this doesn't seem right. Like, it just seems weird. But she eventually is like, whatever, too. So now she is, I barely have any left. Maybe 50 pages or so, and right now she's just now becoming their surrogate. So I guess I just feel really confused by this novel and its pacing. I have 50 pages left and she's just now becoming their surrogate, so I'm kind of confused what else is going to happen or what else could possibly happen to make it be a decent thriller novel. I feel like the whole book so far, and I've read most of it, has just been her kind of wheezing. Why do I always say that? Wheezing. That's not, is that a phrase even? I don't think so. Wiggling, we'll say. Wiggling her way into their lives. But that's it. None of it was really thrilling, and we knew from the synopsis that she's kind of psychotic and that's what she's going to do. Literally says she realizes that photos aren't all she can manipulate and she tries to get into their life, and then that's like all she does the whole book, but there's no twist and nothing else is really coming of it. So I don't really get it unless it is the most intense and action-packed 50 pages right at the end. I'm super confused by this novel and I don't really get it. We'll see what happens, but just so far in everything that I've read, it does not have me, and I'm honestly really confused how it's riveting and unsettling by any means, or from any standard. This one kind of lost me, and I hate that the first book in this series is such a flop right now. Because I feel like it's just so negative, and I didn't want to read it because I was thinking, oh, maybe I should just scrap this whole video and I can restart it and do an episode 1 where it's like a book that I really like and that's really thrilling. But when I really thought about it, it's like not every book that I read is going to be riveting, and not every book I read is going to be super thrilling, and that's kind of the whole point of this series, is to figure out which ones are good or not good. And Thrill Seeker, it's like I'm trying to find books that are really thrilling, and if they're not, then that's still a part of like that journey, like it's not every book is gonna be like amazing. So I figured we will just keep going we will make this a video concept still, and hopefully the next book that we read will just be a lot better. But for now, let's just dive back into this boy. I swear you have seen me in like every single hoodie I own sitting in the same spot over the past couple weeks. It has been a couple weeks since I started this video. It's now December 2nd and I have 50 pages left. I'm literally almost done, but I am like dredging it because I said in the last clip that unless this is like the craziest 50 pages ever, this is just such a flop a read for me. And I just think I know in my gut that it's gonna be a flop, and so I just don't want to pick it up. But it's already December 2nd. I need to finish this so that I can move on to holiday reads and my holiday reading vlog. I just need to like move on. I want to get this video out. I haven't uploaded a video in like 2 weeks because I've been stuck on this video, and I just feel like I need something else. So I'm literally not going to let myself get up or touch my phone until I finish this. So I'm gonna put on some like winter ambiance. I have my Christmas tree lit up. I am just gonna sit here and finish this however long it takes, honestly. I am just going to sit here and hopefully I really get into it and it goes by quickly, but that's what I'm gonna do. But I don't need an ad for Travel Oregon. I live here. Okay, I figured that I would update a little bit just because I'm about halfway to the end from where I was. I marked some pages and now let me try to remember why. I marked this page because it's like, what is wrong with this lighting? What if I move you? Well, that's like kind of weird, but we'll do it. So I marked this page because it's talking about her past a little bit more, Delta's past a little bit more, but it's repeating things that we already know. So it talks about how she got her first job working for Emily Miller, who's like this event planner, and it's repeating that, and it already has repeated that like twice. So like I said, this book is just getting really repetitive. Like we already knew that, and instead of bringing in new enticing information, we're kind of getting the same thing. Now if you flip like 20 more pages, now she is finally she just had the appointment to get, what is that? She just had the appointment to get the embryo implanted, so she is like officially their surrogate now. We're just waiting to see if it actually took or not. But Natalie, the daughter, did come hang out with her, and she was like, hey, I feel like your son's not real. I feel like what you're saying isn't real. This is really strange. And then where I'm at right now, where I just stopped, the guy Ian, I don't think I've ever said his name, but the guy Ian that she was seeing, that's Fritz and Amelia's friend, he said that he met Jasper. He went to, my college roommate was in town, he invited me over to his cousin Robert's place for brunch. Robert's son is Jasper. Jasper's mother is Alexis. He said that the photos that Delta had of Jasper on her walls, when he went over to these people's house, he met the son, and it was the exact same kid. So she's like, or he came over to her house and he's like, that's not your son. Like, what the fuck is going on? She said, I really do have a son. His father took him to California when he was 6 months old, and I haven't seen him since. When I met Jasper at his birthday party, he looked like I imagined my son might look. I guess. It was comforting to me just to tell myself that someone was looking after him. And so then she put all this kid's pictures in her house and told everyone that that was her son. So her son isn't real. Again, I have like 20 pages left, 25 pages left at this point. And we now all of a sudden we're finding out that her son isn't real, but she said, I really do have a son. So in this amount of pages, we are supposed to figure out what's happening with we'll figure out what's happening with Ian, I guess. I'm assuming that they're just breaking up now because the last thing says, get away from me, and then he leaves. So I'm assuming that's done, we'll say. But we still need to figure out if she's pregnant, how the surrogacy is going to go if she is pregnant, what's going to happen to the baby if she's pregnant, what's going to happen with her relationship with Amelia and Fritz and Natalie, what really happened to her, who she really is, if that's at all going to be a twist, the I really do have a son thing. We need to figure out if she actually does have a son. We know it's not Jasper now, it's not that kid, but we need to figure out like if she did have a son, happened with the son, like who is the son, what happened to her, why is she this way. And I doubt that's going to happen in 25 pages. 20 pages. No, like 25 pages. Yeah. I doubt that that's going to happen. So it's like, yeah, in that amount of time we got a little bit more information. We know her son's not real, but I had already hypothesized that because there were like a few points throughout the book where someone would ask her something and she'd be like, oh, let me make up this lie. So like we already knew it was a lie because she said like, oh, I'm nervous, I hope I said the right lie. So that wasn't really a twist because the reader would have already known it because it spoiled itself, kind of. So what I think that would have worked better was if it didn't say, when she was talking about Jasper, her son, if it hadn't said like, oh, let me come up with this lie and say that he's like in California with his dad, if instead it had just said like, oh, he's in California with his dad, then the reader might also not know if it's real or not. But since it said, oh, let me lie, I wonder if she'll notice that the pictures are fake, or I wonder if they'll notice that it's not the real pictures, or that he doesn't look like me. Like, the reader, we already know that she didn't have a son named Jasper. So that, this whole thing with Ian, that I feel like was meant to be like, ooh, that's a twist, it wasn't really her son. But we already knew that it wasn't her son because it spoiled itself. So that could have been an interesting twist had it been written in a different way. But since we already knew, I'm just kind of reading things that I've known since like page 1. So it's not a twist. So we just need to figure, at this point, it's not even a thriller. Because all we need to figure out at this point is what's going to happen with the surrogacy. And if she really has a son and who she really is. Maybe it will be a wild twist, like who she is maybe will be crazy, but the surrogacy thing, not a spoiler, or not a twist, because we knew that from the beginning. I think I said that at the very first clip. I was like, they're talking about surrogacy already, and I was at like, I had, you know, guessed that at like the, not even the 50-page mark, I think, and her not having a son, and her lying about everything that's happened to her. Well, we already knew that, because we're reading this from her perspective, and she's admitting when she's lying. So we already knew that. So far there hasn't been a single twist. Nothing in this book so far has been twisty. Nothing has been a thriller because we've already been told everything. So okay, small check-in just to say, literally so far since I last checked in, it's only been talking about like Ian, the boyfriend guy, and she's like trying to get him to go away because he obviously knows the truth. So she's just manipulating him in different ways, but like I don't care because Ian came in at like the halfway point, and then they only went on like a couple dates, and we only saw like literally like this much of him. So at this point in the story, I don't care about Ian. Like at this point, like why are we talking about Ian when there's only, you know, X amount of pages left, and there's so many other things that could be discussed that are way more important and like relevant to the story. So she did end up getting pregnant. So it's just talking about Ian, but like at the beginning of every sentence or whatever, or paragraph, it's like, I'm this many weeks pregnant, I'm this many weeks pregnant. And literally in chapter 17, so just in the last 6 pages, we've jumped from her finding out that the IVF did stick, so she is pregnant, to being 12 weeks pregnant and confirming a heartbeat. So we just jumped 3 months in like 6 pages, 5 pages actually. So we're just jumping. This is just so rushed right now. So she definitely has never had a kid before. I know it even said like, oh, yeah, my baby wasn't Jasper, but I did have a kid. But now it said, like if the doctor recognized that I had never carried a baby to term, he hadn't ratted me out thus far. So she's never had a kid. So I pretty much finished. I just have the epilogue, so I thought that I would read that with you, and then we can discuss. Interesting. Okay. So what happened was pretty much it did pick up. A lot happened in the last 20, 25 pages. Still not enough to make up for the rest of the book, I would say, and still not twisty enough to make it really like a thriller, in my opinion. But pretty much what happened was Natalie, the daughter, was hanging out and spending more time with Amelia because after she got pregnant, she moved into the apartment that they lease below their house. And so she was, or not with Amelia, with Delta, sorry. And so she was there a lot more often, and she was hanging out with Delta all the time. And while Delta was showering one time, Natalie was looking around her apartment and found all the photoshopped pictures. Y'all remember the photoshopped pictures? I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but they got even weirder. She started like piecing pictures of them like having sex together, like all three of them, and her and the husband, and like her and the wife. Like she had all these things. So then Natalie finds them, she goes and shows the mom, and the mom goes through them. There's not only the pictures of them having sex, but there's pictures of the mom that was going to let them have their baby. Remember the like birth mom, and there was like a huge red X on her face, and so they found all of this and they were like, you need to get the fuck out. So they pretty much like cut ties. They're like, you need to move out, you're done. And that same night, while they're like having this argument, Amelia tries to go downstairs to go to the apartment, and Delta like gets in her way, and Amelia like pushes her out of the way. She ends up rolling down the stairs and then like has a miscarriage. Then she moves out and everything's done. She like never talks to them again. So then in the 5-year later epilogue, she says that she actually didn't miscarry the baby. So the only twist in this whole book, the only twist in this entire book, is that she said she had a miscarriage because there was a shit ton of blood and everything, but I guess they ended up being able to save and like preserve the baby. And the baby, I don't know why I said preserve. They didn't like put it in anything or whatever. They were able to save the baby, and she ended up moving to California, telling the Straubs like, hey, I had a miscarriage, whatever, and then moving to California and raising the baby on her own, stealing the baby from them pretty much, and she names it Jasper and all of that. And that's pretty much it. So we didn't get any background into why she is the way she is. We didn't get any background into, she keeps bringing up this song. We never get any background onto what the song's about. She always brings up all this, like, kind of this trauma. She's like, oh, I can imagine him. Like, I can imagine Jasper, like, with his arm broken. I can imagine Jasper getting locked in a closet. And, like, what? Like, it's like, what's that famous saying where, like, if you're gonna mention that there's, like, a loaded shotgun, it's like a writing quote. I forget who said it, but, like, it's really famous where, like, if you take the time in your book to mention that there's a loaded shotgun on a wall, at some point that gun needs to go off. So like if you're going to bring things up, at some point you need to do something with it or it's irrelevant. There's no point. And so she brought up all of these random things about her life and her past and all this stuff going on and never did anything with it. So the only twist in this entire book is that she kept the baby. There is nothing else about this book that is thrilling. In my opinion, there's nothing about it that's even really suspenseful. It is pretty much literary fiction with a twist at the end, and that's it. Honestly, it's not much more than that. I feel so bad about how much I don't like this, because this is the first, volume, episode, whatever, of this series. And so I hate that I don't like it. I never like rating books poorly anyways. So I feel really, really bad about it. But it just wasn't for me. It's just, I think that it's clearly a debut. But at the same time, I've read other debuts that are like really, really, really good. So it's hard to use that excuse, I guess, but it just needed to be so different. It had so much potential. There could have been so many more twists. There could have been so much more going on, and the problem was just not enough was happening. There wasn't a lot happening at all. So there's one twist in this entire book, and I'll give it to her. Like, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all. I don't know how realistic it is because she explained that there was like tons of blood like coming out of her. Like when she got pushed down the stairs, there was blood like dripping all the way down to her feet and like on the cement and stuff like that. So I find it hard to believe she wouldn't have miscarried because that seems really intense to me. But I guess. So I didn't see it coming. I don't know. This was not what I would, expected. I thought there would be a lot more. I guess pretty much the whole book was just her manipulating people, which to me that's not really like, that doesn't make a thriller in itself, in my opinion. Like just because she, like with the birth mom, she manipulated her to end up not deciding to give them her baby and stuff like that. But that doesn't really, to me, make it a thriller. Especially since then we're never told what happened to her, because clearly something happened to her. She talks about like her uncles a lot. She talks about her life in Florida. She slept with men for money. There's all these little hints, but we're never given this backstory into why she is the way she is, and I feel like we needed that to better understand her as a character. 1.5, maybe 2 stars if I'm feeling generous. I need to think about it a little, but I think I just did not enjoy this at all. So it honestly wasn't even a thriller to me. Like Thrill Seeker, let's give a Thrill Seeker rating, like maybe 1 shock face emoji, and that's it. So thriller rating, like negative, maybe even 0 if I could. I feel terrible. So I hate reading books badly because, especially with a debut author, I always want to hype them up. I always want to give them all the credit in the world. It's hard to write something, to pour your whole life into something and all your thoughts and feelings, and it's such a long process to write a book. But this just was not it, in my opinion, and that's okay. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and it was such a mess, but I hope that you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry if I was like ranting about this for so long. I know this videos are really long, but that's kind of what I wanted to do with these videos, is really, like I said a million times, dive in deep to these books, really, look at them and just talk about them. So yeah, be sure to let me know if you like this video idea. Be sure to let me know if you want more of these and which books I should read for, the series. I don't know where I was going with that or why I pointed to this. Which book I should read next for this series. And yeah, let me know. I was thinking of doing one maybe every 2 months or something. So be sure to leave a comment down below letting me know which book I should read next. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!